Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Welcome to, again, your Sucker-Free Saturday, where we get it in, where we talk about the topics that mean something to us, and we keep it 100% real and sucker-ass free. All right? So, um, Thomas just asked a question real quick. He said, is anybody else planning to watch a docu-series on Reconstruction? I'll be honest with you. I've studied Reconstruction like crazy. Plus, I ain't a big fan of Skip Gates, so I'm not certain I'll watch it. But if you looking for some, I don't know, Black or American History 101 type shit, it's probably gonna be worth the watch. But I'll be honest with you, if you haven't done enough study and things like that, expect very rudimentary, basic stuff from Skip Gates. He is not a radical by any stretch of the imagination. He might touch on a few topics, but nothing that's going to get, you know, white folks specifically and Americans in general uncomfortable, which is, which is something that is going to need to be done at any rate. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to check it out. But Miss Kawami, let me say what's up to everybody. Miss Kawami's in the house. Miss Denny in the house. My brother Real, peace to you. DJ's in the house. Brother Thomas. The esteemed sister Shar Willie. Mwah, love you, sis. She's in the house. My man C's, double C, ADOS in the house. Brother Art's in the house. If you are watching live, family, make sure you pop your name up in the chat so we can shout you out. You don't have to be one of those people that's, constantly typing if that's not your thing, but I want to make sure to definitely show you some love. Also, before we get started, family, we are figuratively scratching right at the door of 1,000 angry black sheep. Can you believe that shit? We almost have 1,000 subs. I cannot thank you guys enough. However, I do want to mention that if you are watching and you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and make sure you pull the trigger. Obviously, you like to hear, you like hearing what it is that I talk about. We'd love to have you as a part of the Angry Black Sheep. And so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, family, make sure that you're hitting the like or the hater button when you come in through the door. Make sure that you're sharing this on your various social media platforms. This way, YouTube knows that people want to watch this type of content, all right? It would be definitely appreciated. Yes, Alan, we got 5 more to go, just 5. All right, so help us make that push, that break right over the edge to 1,000 subs, because we're not that far away. A couple other things. As you guys well know, I do have available for you in lieu of your, or I should say, in return for your support, I have merchandise available. Links are in the description in the bottom of this video. You can get you a mug, like, similar to the one I got. I actually have 2 different types. The other one's dirty, so I haven't got that one, but I've got this one. I also have some shirts available. There's also links to books that you can purchase via Amazon. When you purchase through those links, they do help to support my work, support my advocacy for you. Again, no pressure, but definitely appreciate it. There's also free resources there. We talk a lot on this channel about the data. Peace to my brother Zulu, by the way. Welcome back. Sucka-Free Saturday. You know how we do. There are actually resources, free resources to economic reports. One in particular I've referenced quite a few many times that I think should be ADOS 101 stuff. And that is the report, What Do We Get Wrong About the Racial Wealth Gap by Darity Moore et Alia, right? So please make sure you check out those free resources. Again, they don't cost you anything. They'll help you to get the information you need so that you can be a better advocate for the justice that our ancestors have fought, bled, and died for, all right? So without further ado, by the way, shout out to my man, Unreasonable Man, and to all my angry black sheep. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday. Let's get to it. The topic for today is going to be a discussion on justice. The reason why I wanted to discuss this is because when we use terms like justice, right? Because it's a concept, it's so nebulous at times that unless we define what it is that we're talking about, people can weasel their way around it. Like, they can appear to be discussing justice, they can appear to be advocates for justice until you press them on what their definitions are, until you start making them establish what it is that they mean justice to be. At which point you find out that a lot of the time it's actually antithetical to what it is that you're espousing, what you need, and what you believe. So I wanted us to take this Sucka-Free Saturday. Don't worry, we'll joke, we'll kick it, we'll have a good time. But I do want to discuss specifically the veil of ignorance, right? Zulu brought it up. Let's talk about that. Because I believe, as someone who is, very scholarly, who's studious. I'm influenced by rhetoric. I'm influenced by philosophical argumentation and so on and so forth. That when I see various arguments put forward, moral arguments for the justice claim of our people, I would be remiss as your brother, an advocate, and one who loves you to not share that information with you in order to make you a stronger proponent, in order to make you a better advocate for the justice claim that we're making in this transformational moment as ADOS people. The veil of ignorance is a reference to a philosophical discussion put forward by a philosopher named John. Sorry, give me a second here. I had that name. Um, Darn it, don't worry about it. I'll make sure to put the name before this broadcast is over. But this philosopher wrote back in the 70s about what justice would look like. And he posited that in order to determine what a just society would look like, he proposed a thought experiment. And I'll share that thought experiment with you. Essentially, what he said is that imagine if we all were able to be born into a society, but with no thought, no understanding, no awareness of what our particular position would be in that society, right? So in other words, you could have awareness that you were going to be put into this society, but you didn't have a clue as to whether you were going to be black or white, rich or poor, young or old, dumb or smart. Any of those things that we make differentiations about, between people. Now, if you were able to design a society knowing that once you entered it, you would have no control over your position in it, what type of society would you build, right? John Rawls, thank you, Darker Visions. I appreciate you getting that information for me. Yes, John Rawls. John Rawls said that this thought experiment was a veil of ignorance, meaning that it would cover up our knowledge of where we would actually be inserted in our respective position in this society. Now, if you accept this idea that no one chooses where they're born, what position they find themselves in this society, right? Then when we talk about justice, we have to make justice as broad-based a thing as possible to account for the fact that regardless of where we enter into this societal structure, that our place is relatively safe and assured. I hope you guys understand that. If you need me to break it down, I will. But essentially, John Rawls's argument was that the just society would be one that would be set up that regardless of what your position was when you entered into the society, you would be all right with that position, right? Whether you were born into it as a black person or a white person, a rich person or a poor person, or whatever the case may be, whatever your status was, you would be all right with making that choice, knowing that you had no control over how you entered it. What type of society would you want to enter into knowing you didn't have the choice, right? What would you like that society, that just, righteous, moral society to look like? John Rawls argued that when you consider that none of us get to choose how we enter into this society, right? The white motherfucker born, with the silver spoon in their mouth, wrapped up in silk baby blankets and shit like that, didn't choose that. That was a complete accident of circumstance, right? His parents got together, did the whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. 9 months later, boom, this motherfucker was born, right? Just like the ADOS kid that's born at the county hospital, wrapped up in a cotton blanket, who, didn't even get a chance to see their mother for the first couple of days because they had breathing problems and so on and so forth. They didn't choose that, right? So when we talk about justice, We have to talk about justice in the idea that we need to figure out what society looks like for anybody who enters it, regardless of their position. Can they enter into this society with the expectation of justice, of morality, of righteousness, and so on and so forth? Why is this important? Well, family, I will tell you why this is important. This is important because when we talk about justice to people, when we talk about justice to people, you usually have two types of motherfuckers. All right? You have the one type that says, yeah, I'm down with justice. I want to make sure everybody has equal opportunity, equal chance, a fair shake, so on and so forth. All right. Then you have this secondary group. This secondary group says, I'm all for justice as long as it doesn't cost me anything. Because you see, when John Rawls came up with this vision, this concept of a just and righteous society, as a philosopher, he was challenged by other philosophers, specifically a philosopher named Robert Nozick. Now, I actually read Robert Nozick's work, and I got to tell you that, just keeping it a buck, I think he's cracked. So essentially, the opposing argument that Robert Nozick makes to John Rawls's prepositions on justice is that resources and money are also covered under the same justice as individuals, as people. Let me kind of break it down to you, all right? John Rawls argues that a redistributive society, or redistributive, there we go, that's the word, redistributive society is the most just. In other words, the more resources can be put in the hands of as many people as possible, the more just the society will be. This way, no matter where your position is relative to the rest of society, you have roughly an equal opportunity to make a normal human life. Okay? Because, again, if you take into account the fact that you're unaware of what your position is going to be when you enter into this society, when you think about what is just, you want to make sure to build a society that allows for the maximum of equality and leveling across every area, so that no matter where you're slotted in, you're good. See what I'm saying? Right, Miss Kwame? It would be nice. But Robert Nozick says that as human beings, we make an artificial distinction between personages and property. And so, by this artificial distinction, or this arbitrary distinction made between persons and property, that's the only way that Rawls's argument works. Is that if you create a false dichotomy, which is absolute bullshit, right? And I'm going to explain to you why it's bullshit. Money, at the end of the day, is a relational tool, right? Money has value in relation to something else, right? Because money is it's an abstraction, a derivative, if you will, right? Like, this can is tangible, right? It weighs, I don't know, maybe an ounce or so, right? Barring the liquid that's inside. It's made of aluminum or aluminium, if you want them British motherfuckers, right? And this is tangible. This is not an abstraction. This is concrete. I can hand it to you. You can take it from me. You can have a sensory-based experience of this item. Just like that can, I can have a sensory experience and gather data with other human beings. I can talk to Miss Kawami. I can talk to Miss Denny. I can talk to my brother Art, and so on and so forth. We can shake hands. We can hug. We can race each other. We can fight. You see what I'm saying? We can have an actual, tangible, hands on experience. What's up, May today? Yes, I'm hoping to reach the 1,000 mark soon. When we do, I'm doing a special broadcast that's a Q&A. So get your questions ready. And I'm telling you off the top, it's open question, no holds barred, nothing is off the table. If you want to ask me about my favorite colors or whatever the case may be, this is going to be the opportunity to do it. So I can't wait till we hit that 1,000 mark. But back to what I was saying, money is an abstraction, right? Money has value relative to something concrete or tangible. It is a derivative, right? This has specific value based off of its construction, off of the material used, and so on and so forth. And we translate that value, that relational value, into money. But we would still want to have aluminum cans, even if there was no money, no currency in circulation whatsoever, right? We would still want to interact with other human beings, even if there was not a single penny of currency circulating anywhere, right? Money is yet another means by which we relate to other individuals. Money carries data. Money carries information.
Have a cup of Joe on me.
I will, brother, and thank you for the love. I appreciate it. By the way, shout out to Tar Heel Geronimo. What's up to you, and welcome to the broadcast. Money allows us to be able to agree upon value of connections, relations, objects, and so on and so forth. But money itself is an abstraction. So for Robert Nozick to argue that somehow or another we have to apply the same standard of justice when it comes to abstractions or derivatives of real things as we do real things already puts his argument on shaky ground. Because if you accept Nozick's premise that people's money or people's ownership of things has just as much value as people themselves, well, then you end up kind of where we are right now. In a society that provides you with the best of living that resources and money can buy. Nozick was an apologist for the status quo, whereas John Rawls, through his theory of justice, was a revolutionary, was a game changer. I mean, think about this, family. Close your eyes for a second and envision what a world would look like if you had to design a society that no matter where you're slotted in, no matter where you're born into it, you're willing to say, okay, I can take a chance on that. I'll take that shot. Regardless of whether it's up here a little bit or down here a little bit or over here on this side or over here on this side. Regardless of where it is that you entered into that society, you would be okay. That society looks nothing like the one we have. That society looks like justice. That society looks like ethical, moral, right? Exactly. Robert's premise was capitalism because if you think about it, Nozick, and people like, people of his ilk, right? These, for lack of a better way to say it, these neoconservative, so-called classical liberal motherfuckers, right? Their whole thing is about being capitalism apologists, right? They really don't give much of a fuck about like morality, justice, righteousness, and so on and so forth, right? For them, arguing to embrace and maintain a system that allows those that have to continue to have and those who do not have to continue to not have is the whole end game, right? In science, when you come up with a hypothesis, your job as a scientist is through experimentation, observation, and extrapolation. Your job is to attempt to falsify your hypothesis. See, most people have it backwards. They think that scientists come up with a guess for shit, because that's what a hypothesis is a guess, right? So they guess about something, and then they do the experiments to try to prove their guess is right. Wrong. Absolutely not. And do you know why this is the case, family? I'll explain to you why this is the case. Because we as human beings are prone to, I won't call it a mental illness, it's just a part of our consciousness, but we are prone as these pattern seeking brain computers to what's called confirmation bias. Meaning that if you have an idea about something, okay, and you have 3 different pieces of data to choose from, you're going to tend, without some mechanism to remove your confirmation bias from your thought process, you're going to tend to choose the item of data that best supports what it is that you think, believe, guess at, so on and so forth. I know all of this seems like really highbrow, but I told you, family, we have to start using our noodle. We have to be more than just emotive. We have to embrace the understandings of philosophy, logical argumentation, rhetoric, and so on and so forth. So I apologize in advance if you are bored. But screw your motherfucking attention span down a little bit and follow me, because trust me, where I'm going with this makes perfect sense. Scientists look to falsify their hypothesis. The reason why they do that is to eliminate the desire that they have innately to confirm what it is that they believe. But philosophers they're not necessarily bound by that particular stricture. So it's not surprising that you have people like Milton Friedman, Robert Nozick, and so on and so forth, who are able to utilize rhetoric and attempt to logically support hypercapitalism, right? The so-called free market. I mean, these individuals were able to take a school of thought as antithetical to what they believe as anarchism and make themselves proponents of anarchism, except they called themselves anarcho-capitalists, right? Anarcho meaning anarchy without rulers, and capitalists. Family, if you want to know what the fuck anarcho-capitalism looks like, you have no further to look than to look at the United States of America. There's nobody in charge of this bitch. If you have a business and you are worth a market cap of a few $100 million to $1 billion, you basically can do whatever the fuck you want. You can pump poisons into the goddamn atmosphere. You can come up with drugs that are get people addicted, cause overdoses, and have hella side effects. You can put in power plants that pollute the air with lead and the water with lead. You can put in lead pipes to pump water in from bad systems. If you have the capital in the United States, you can literally get away with murder. You can literally get away with murder. By the way, peace to my brother Eugene from the OKC. Shout out to you and my family down there in Oklahoma. Peace. Am I saying anything, family, that's so shocking to you that now that you understand exactly what the dangers of these philosophies are, you can start to actually stand up and defend yourselves against them, right? Listen, family, they expect for you to not understand the use of rhetoric. They 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 expect you to not understand how marketing works, right? So when I use terms like glittering generalities, 90% of you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yet you are faced with these marketing tactics in the one place you should be expecting to hear unvarnished truth, and that is in your media. Your media apparatus, the media apparatus in the United States of America, since the new black media is simply a machine to market products and ideas to you, to turn you into a fucking consumer, not a thinker, not a cogitator, not an understander or overstander if you're into that sort of thing, but a consumer. Because they know as long as they can feed your brain computer what they want you to think and you do not question it, more importantly, damn all that. You not only don't even question it, but you don't even know the process to start to question those ideas. Then they got you by the proverbial balls. They can literally do anything they want to you. Zulu, thank you for that. Buying power is a great example of a motherfucking glittering generality, right? You got folk like Boyce Watkins and all these other motherfucking black capitalists who are coming to you telling you, black people have $1.3 trillion in buying power. We should have our own businesses. You should be banking black, buying black, all of that, right? Now, if you don't understand the use of glittering generalities, if you don't understand the use of these marketing terms to try to influence you, right? That shit sounds legit to you. Oh shit, black people got $1.3 trillion that we could be doing some major shit with? Until you understand the source of the information, first of all, that information came from a marketing report developed by Nielsen, where they were putting together marketing materials so that businesses that would be interested in trying to get black people to buy their shit would know how to market to us. And trust me, when they saw that figure of $1.3 trillion, they wasn't thinking, oh shit, well, we need to try to find a way to get that 1.3 trillion up out of black folk. No, they were like, only 1.3 trillion. Damn, we can't sell them anything that's, that's going to cost a lot. Businesses know when they market to black people, they need to be talking about three things: cheap, low cost, or damn near free. Because I'm here to tell you that $1.3 trillion in buying power ain't shit. It ain't shit. We can't, family, we can't support our own businesses. That's part of the reason why we're having to make this fight, make this push during this transformational moment as ADOS people. Because if you're talking about fighting the fucking capitalism game or playing the capitalism game, you might as well just hang up your shit. We lost that shit ages ago. At least a century and a half, maybe even 2 centuries ago. You don't have the means to be able to buy black, spend black, bank black. Every fucking dollar you get and I get as ADOS people has to go back to the motherfuckers what gave it to us. That $1.3 trillion in spending power. That $1.3 trillion in spending power, family, goes towards food in your refrigerator, the light bill, the gas bill, your car note, some clothes on your ass, and if you got kids, clothes on your kids' ass, right? It goes for paying off your damn student loans if you're one of these aspirational Negroes like myself, right? It goes towards all the shit you need to survive as an American in this country. And I'm telling you, family, in a country where the goddamn GDP per annum is somewhere in the neighborhood of $18 trillion, $1.3 trillion ain't shit. Here's another piece of data those 1.3 trillion dangling bastards won't tell you. That's only half of the motherfucking equation. 39 million ADOS folk, men, women, and children, contribute actually every year close to about $3.1 trillion to the GDP of America. So you got 1.3 of about 3 trillion. So where the fuck is your other 1.7 trillion every year going? Who's getting that? Oh, I'm going to tell it like it T.I. is today, goddammit. I'm going to tell it like it T.I. is. Where the fuck is your 1.7 trillion? You earned it. Your productivity, your long-ass hours working overtime, your 2-hour commutes on the bus or sitting in goddamn traffic, breathing up everybody else's exhaust. Yo, eating that Subway because you didn't have enough time to make yourself a lunch in the motherfucking morning. All of that effort, Monday through Friday and sometimes Saturday and Sunday, you contribute all told about $3 trillion to the goddamn economy, to the total economy per annum. Yet you're only seeing 1.3 trillion of 3 trillion? So where the fuck are these hyper-capitalist bastards telling you about your 1.7? That you never see, that every year just disappears from you. But it's the little glittering generalities. Oh, we're just, we're just talking about buying power here without defining a goddamn thing. What we get wrong about closing the racial wealth gap. That report is in the description field of this video. If you have not read it, you do not belong here with the angry black sheep. You do not know enough. We have to start playing the game the way it is meant to be played, which means that we have to sharpen ourselves up politically. We have to sharpen ourselves up economically. We have to sharpen ourselves up philosophically, morally, ethically, and so on and so forth. Right, Frida Green? The cable company got that shit. All these corporate welfare officers, all these corporate welfare barons, these welfare queens, they the ones getting your 1.7 every year. Milton and Freeman, Robert Nozick, et alia have no motherfucking problem with someone literally buying the government that has the power of life and death over you. Why? Because, hey, they got the resources and money are just as sacred and just as righteous and just as necessary and just as beautiful as people is. Unlike John Rawls, who said, no, if I know that I cannot choose how I enter into a society, any society that I want to be a part of will have to consider the position, The relative position of anybody who may enter it and have that position be a just one. You and I, ADOS family, have some work to do. But one of the first works that we have to do as a people is we have to clean our minds from the filth and the clutter that we have allowed to accumulate. We need to go in there with the Swiffer and dust that shit. Get all that dust the fuck up out of there. We need to reach up in the corners of our mind and knock down the cobwebs. We need to go through all those old papers and documents that have been misfiled and throw them shits out. And we need to start to organize our minds. And the only way you can do that is to have a philosophical and moral understanding of what and why it is that we are doing what we are doing. No more and no less. These conversations about definitions of justice, of what a moral and just society look like, they're more than just intellectual masturbation. Family, they are a necessity. For those of you out there who are my Christian or Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, you'll understand the quote that I'm about to say from the Bible. My people perish from a lack of vision. A people without vision die. Figuratively as well as literally. I need you to understand that. Our demise as ADOS people, if we do not make this push for justice in the confines of the United States of America, our demise will come, our mental demise will come long before our physical one. Our mental demise as a people, our erasure from the social stage of America mentally will come long before they start sweeping our bodies into graves. It is up to us to understand why we do what we do. Not just what we need to do. That's important. That is definitely important. I spend a lot of time on this channel talking about things that I believe we need to do. But I hardly ever discuss with you why it is that we need to do these things. We need to embrace a vision of empowerment for ADOS people. One of the ways that we're doing that is a way that Zulu just mentioned. No reparations and no policies and no agenda for black folk. No votes, no support. We will sit back and watch this whole motherfucker burn. Shout out to Brother Chris, by the way, in Long Island. Welcome to the broadcast. That's one way to get things done. Matter of fact, I would argue that 2020 should not be the end of ADOS political action. It should be the beginning. How we're operating in that sphere now, by being single issue advocates, by demanding single issue advocates. At this point, politically, that should be how we operate for the rest of the time we're here. We should never again going back to being beholden on some political party's plantation as a locked-in vote. We should never again do that. Never again. Shout out to Dr. G. Welcome to the broadcast, sister. It's good to have you. But Frida Green said America is built for a group to be on the bottom. That can't be us anymore. How about this? How about after we make sure it ain't us no more, and we gain enough power to make sure that if there is a bottom, the bottom is just as good a place to be as the top? How about that? How about that? How about we work within a vision of a just and moral society that allows for even the person at the very bottom to have their dignity respected, to have their humanity respected, to have access to resources, to have access to education, to have access to human touch and contact, to have access to safe environments, and so on and so forth. How about that? Let's not aim low, black people. My ADOS family, let's stop aiming low. If we're going to hang for lambs, we may as well hang for sheep. If they already think that we are beyond the pale because we're demanding from this country that it pays the debt that it's due, that it's been long due to our people, if they already think that we are on some old BIE, black identity extremist type shit with that, well, if we're already going to hang for lambs, we may as well hang for sheep. I say that as ADOS people, I not only want my due, but I want to use my due, my debt that's been owed to my ancestors and has now been bequeathed to me to change this whole motherfucker. I want to look across America and not even recognize what the fuck I see. No more of this namby-pamby, incrementalist, milquetoast, weak-willed, waiting on tomorrow bullshit. If we're already going to be considered radical, if we're already going to be considered beyond the pale, if white folks are going to want to kill us and Latinos are going to want to kill us and motherfucking black immigrants now want to fucking kill us just because we're advocating for our own shit, if we are going to hang for stealing lambs, then my ADOS brothers and sisters, I argue that we need to go ahead and just steal the whole motherfucking sheepfold. We need to be pushing for our due to get that shit paid, cut the motherfucking check. And then we need to use that power and those resources that we acquire to completely change the face of everything we see within the confines of this country, between the 48 contiguous states, Hawaii, and motherfucking Alaska. What y'all got to say to that? How about that for a vision, family? How about that? How about that as a torch that you can bear in your motherfucking heart that fires you up with so much juice every goddamn day? You can't wait to bound out of bed to advocate for you and your people first. And America thereafter. I can't speak for you, but I'm fucking sick of not only being denied my citizenship, but being told I'm wrong for fucking wanting it. Aren't you tired of that? Aren't you tired of being ADOS and being told, no, you cannot be a full citizen, and then told by everybody else who gets a bite of the motherfucking pie that you're some sort of fucking mind criminal for even wanting your citizenship? The motherfucking Pan-African is telling us that we support American imperialism like they come to us with a motherfucking, and say, hey, we're going over to Iraq next week. Are you niggers okay with that? That's not how the fuck this shit works. I'm told I'm wrong for wanting, for even thinking that I have a right to be a citizen of the United States of America. And then I'm told I'm wrong because I want to be. My ancestors' bones are buried here. Their blood was shed here. Their sweat that beaded on their foreheads for the efforts that they made to make cans and other sorts of widgets was done here. I have every fucking right to want what I want out of my life here. I'm damned if I let anybody anymore tell you or I that I have no right to be an American. I'm also damned if I let anybody tell you or I that I am wrong to want to be an American. These same self serving, mercenary, heartless sons of bitches who come from everywhere all over the globe to be American. They tell you that you're wrong to want to have the fruits of your labor. They're telling you that you're wrong to want to demand accountability of your government, of this society in which you exist. Yet everybody and their mother comes from all over the globe to take advantage of what they tell you you're wrong to want. You need to put your thinking cap on. You should not even be giving any of these idiots any consideration. You should know enough ADOS. You should know enough ADOS to know that a lot of these motherfuckers out here that are coming at you with all this bullshit rhetoric, you should know enough to be able to discount that shit and dismiss it without even breaking a sweat. And if you don't, your brother Mark Black challenges you to step your motherfucking game up. You no longer, ADOS, have the luxury of sitting back and waiting on a vision to be born to you. Because, family, that's what happened in our last push for justice in this society, right? During the civil rights movement and all of the previous movements before us, excuse me, family, right? We ADOS folk sought out vision bearers, right? We looked for brothers like Malcolm X, right? El Malik al Shabazz. We looked for brothers like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We looked for brothers like MLK, right? We looked for our James Baldwins and so on and so forth, right? We sought out. That's right, Hot Rod, it is. We sought out the vision bearers. And one by one by one, our vision bearers were taken away from us. They were taken away from us. El Malik El Shabazz, taken away from us. MLK, taken away from us. Fred Hampton, taken away from us. Or they went into exile. Shout out to Sister Asada Shakur. Or they've been locked up for multiple years in prison, where they've been institutionalized, brutalized, denied even the basics of health care and human decency. Free Mumia. Or they were destroyed, burned out of their homes, and shot down. Peace and justice for the Move family. All of the vision bearers before today, the ones we listened to, the ones we sought out, some of them were co-opted. Bobby Seale sold out. Angela Davis sold out. Some of them went down a bad path. Peace to the memory of Huey P. Newton. For this transformational moment to have a chance, it will only survive to the extent that we, you, I, we, ADOS brothers and sisters and ADOS tribes people, family, become the vision bearers. And that means work. That means making your vision trek. Let me explain what the hell I'm talking about. In certain Aboriginal or Native American cultures, before a person was able to take on the role of an adult in the tribe, they would have to go on what has been referred to as a vision quest. They'd be out there alone, relying on their own lights, their own abilities, their own efforts, their own sanity. And they would stay out there until such time as they could return to the people with a vision, a life-bearing vision that gave their lives purpose, that gave them a reason to be a part of the tribe. It's right, real Bobby Hutton. We've lost so many vision bearers. From what I've learned about our brother Nipsey, that was another vision bearer. He wasn't a saint, but he was a vision bearer. And that is a true loss to us. We have to walk the path of the vision bearer. We have to go out there and we have to face the darkness alone on our own resources, with our understanding of philosophy, with our understanding of economics, with our understanding of politics, with our understandings of religion, with our understandings of the legal system. And we have to make sure that when we come back to the people, we have a reason to be ADOS. We have to have conversations about justice, about morality and immorality, about ethics and lack of ethics. We have to have conversations about these boring ass PBS things, because these are the conversations that our real people have. So I, your brother Mark Black, challenge you to understand, read. There are various people out here who try to push various ideas, various philosophies. For example, y'all talk about memes. Did you know that memes is actually a field of scientific study? Richard Dawkins is actually one of the foremost memeticists out there. You use the words but don't understand the concepts. And this is not to shame you. This is to inspire you. Make it a point every day to learn one new thing about not just what it means to be ADOS, but why we need to embrace ADOS. The torch that burns, that lights the way for you and for us, has to exist in all of us. Otherwise, we're facing the same damn thing we faced with the civil rights movement, when they snatch our vision bearers away, or when they co-opt our vision bearers, or when they take and discredit our vision bearers, like trying to say that MLK cheated on his wife, or that El Malik Shabazz was homosexual, right? So when they try to discredit, thank you, Ken. You're welcome for the newest black sheep in the house and putting us that much closer to 1,000. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you. When they take our vision bearers away, the work stops. The only way that this thing works is that we have to be the vision bearers. Our lineage, our heritage, this justice claim is what drives us to do the work we do. Go out there and do the work. Take the time to understand the data. Take the time to understand just what has been done, what is being done, and what will happen to you should you not fight. 2053 approaches. And when you have the median net wealth of ADOS people at zero in one of the richest nations on the planet Earth, that is a literal death sentence for our people. We don't have time for back and forth bullshit. We don't have time for ersatz, faux debates that make us feel good but never accomplish any goddamn thing. I'm not debating with not a near one of yous. If you're not open to actually understanding and learning what it takes to do this advocacy effectively, I have no debate with you. You can't save everybody. I can try and lead people to the water hole, but you have to bend your neck down and you have to sip it. And the same goes for me. I'm not above reproach. I'm not perfect by any means. I have to be willing to change as the data change. Absolutely. Welcome, hey, can I still call you gorgeous? I like it. So welcome to the conversation, gorgeous. And yes, I am going to be one of those advocates that provide you with real conversation, family. What does justice look like? This isn't hard to imagine. Simply close your eyes and come up with a society that would feel just as good to you whether you were born over here or born into it over there, where you were born up here or you were born down here, right? That's what justice looks like. Don't let anybody try to sway you with high-flung rhetoric and studies from this group and that group. You know what the fuck justice looks like. Always consider your sources. What is it that Yvette tells us all the time? One of the first questions we should ask when we get a piece of data thrown at us from somebody is, who you? Consider the motherfucking sources. Make your determination as to the veracity or the falsity of data based off of two things. One, your own experience, and two, the source in which that data comes from. And you and I need to bear the vision. We need to be the ones who go and do the work. We have to. We have to. I have children. I have to. Many of you have children. I have to. Recommended books and sources, Leo. I've got actually 4 books that you can start. You can start by reading those resources that I have in the description field. I've got The Color of Law in there. What else do I got, Miss Denny? I've got. Hold on a second. I'll read them off to you.
The Road to Zero Wealth Report. This is my opinion.
Yeah, the books. Yep.
The half has never been
Yep.
sold.
I've got The Half Has Never Been Told. Right. Complicity. Americans. So I've got a whole host of resources there in the description field that you can purchase. There's a few books to purchase. And again, those links that you purchase the books through, go to Amazon and they help to support my channel. I also have some links to some free resources there for you as well. Different reports, including the one that I consistently reference, What We Get Wrong About the Racial Wealth Gap by Darity Hamilton et al. Okay, so those are some sources to get you started. But Leo, if you want my true recommendation, is that Everything should be considered a source. I will take truth from the devil himself. Yes, Randall Robinson actually wrote a book. See, everybody acting like reparations or whatever is new. No, the debt was written back in the 90s. I read that book back when I was a young man by Randall Robinson. Great fucking read. And I hear you, gorgeous. This is not about a handout. Look, family, stop acting like when people come at you that somehow or another you're begging America for something. You're not begging America for shit. You are a debt collector. You have every motherfucking right to collect your debt. This country owes it. It's known internationally as well as internally. You're not begging for a damn thing. Reparations, restoration, remediation is what's owed you. They need to pay up. They need to cut the motherfucking check. Before I finish this up, family, because I want to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Saturday, I want to give a shout out to a brother on YouTube here. His name is Morpheus Unchained or something like that. Let me look him up real quick, family. Stand by. Let me get you this information real quick. Because there was a video this brother did that was just dope. And let me see if I can find that video. Morpheus Unplugged. I'm gonna actually put a link to his channel in the chat here for you. The reason why I want you to go check out the brother is because he talked about Marianne Williamson. Many of you know Marianne Williamson as the Democratic candidate for president who has openly discussed reparations. And many of you still are in a place where you feel as if you may be able to support her. Well, I guarantee you that after listening to our brother Morpheus, right, in his discussion, Morpheus Unplugged, in his discussion of the danger of Marianne Williamson, you may see a different side to the matter. Don't worry about it, black man. I'm just glad you popped in. Welcome to the broadcast. Family, we are so close to 1,000 subs. Like, I'm literally mad excited. Like, you don't even know how excited I am. And it ain't got nothing to do with just the number, but just the idea of that many black folk out here who are willing to be angry black sheep like me. Damn it, nothing gets me more hyphy.
Tell them when you thought you
right?
1,000 subs.
But, thank you, Miss Deanie. As a reminder, when I reach 1,000 subs, as a gift, yes, Zulu, that's the one. The danger of Marianne Williamson and the breaking of the white savior syndrome. You see, family, I've talked about this idea of the white savior complex, right? A lot of us is waiting for our advocacy as ADOS people for other ADOS people until more white folk get on board, right? When we hear people like Marianne Williamson and shit talking about, what's up, community first? Yeah, when we hear people like Marianne Williamson willing to openly talk about reparations, right, our hearts go pitter patter because we think, oh, here's a white person that gets it, who understands. But do we really give a fuck if she understands? If she's not talking sense around it? When I say talking sense, I mean talking about numbers. I'm talking about real numbers to real people. She continues to contradict her stance. On one hand, she says that she supports reparations for black folk, right? So then she talks to the scholars. She spoke with Dr. Darity, Sandy Darity. And Dr. Darity talked and gave clear numbers as a start to the conversation. And yes, we do need to support Brother Isaiah. I'm a huge fan of his. I've mentioned him through many of my broadcasts. Love this brother. Please make sure that you give him some love on Twitter and on his other social media platforms. He's definitely well worth the follow. But she has been repeatedly told that her numbers are too low. And she keeps talking about educational programs as if, ADOS people are all just dumbass niggas that if we could just get education somehow or another, that's going to like close the racial wealth gap or whatever, and so on and so forth. Um, I'm going to have to go out on a limb here and say that she's pretty much canceled for me. Like, we have already made reparations a topic of discussion on the Democratic side of the House. And I'm certain that once the Republicans see how much traction reparations can get making enemies of Democrats, don't be surprised if we start hearing talk about reparations from the Republican side of the House too. So we don't need Marianne Williamson for any debates. We don't need her to be anywhere but be gone. Moses, you have a question? Go ahead. Can you type it in the chat? I wasn't really necessarily looking to have anybody come on Discord, but if you need to come on Discord or whatever, I'll go ahead and set it up to where you can ask your question in the Discord. But yeah, I pretty much canceled her. I mean, she talks about love and and justice and all. I mean, she talks a real good game. But when you're sitting here with one of the foremost scholars of the study of reparations, and he gives you a number as a start, and your first response isn't, wow, thank you. That was just what I needed to be out here, to be able to go out here and advocate this shit. But to start arguing back, talking about who you can convince, and who you can't convince, she said that I might be able to talk America into, like say 500, 500 billion or whatever the case may be, but I can't convince them of anything in the trillions. Bitch, what are you talking about? Every poll out here says Americans are against reparations any motherfucking way. Like, see, family, who the fuck these people think they fooling? Moses asked, how do I feel about private prisons that whites seem to have bought out from where? From Louisiana, yep, Angola. Yep. What do I feel about private prisons? I feel that private prisons are a distraction. Oh shit, did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did. What you doing?
All right. So I'm going to need to explain this shit. I understand the issue of private prisons. First of all, the whole concept of a privately owned penitentiary it makes my skin crawl. The shit is absolutely fucking disgusting. But remember, I told you, family, that we need to ground ourselves in the data. If we ground ourselves in the data and hearken to the voice of our lineage, we will learn every damn thing we need to know to be effective advocates of ADOS. The reason why private prison is a motherfucking distraction to black folk, for ADOS folk, is because private prisons only make up 8% of the total numbers of prisons in the United States of America. All the rest of the prisons where our brothers and sisters are locked up are actually publicly owned, state-owned, federal-owned prisons. So they come and tell you, yeah, we got to end mass incarceration through the private prison industry. Shit sound fire. Y'all like, yes! And you don't fucking understand that even if you closed Every fucking private prison in the United States of America, and we should, that still leaves 92% of America's prisons wide the fuck open with your family and my family locked behind those walls. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely down for closing private prison complexes. Like I said, the very idea of that is sickening. It is absolutely abhorrent and repugnant to me on a visceral level. Like I really, my skin is fucked up right now. Like I got goosebumps because I want to just rip somebody's fucking head off for even coming up with the idea of a fucking privatized prison. That being said, we need to stop aiming so low. I want my people the fuck out of all prisons, not just the privately owned ones. And yes, Oaktown, we know that. We've known that prison, whether owned by the state or or owned by a cabal of individuals under a corporate structure, all of them have been for profit. We've known that since the days of convict leasing. This isn't new. None of this is new to us, ADOS people. Please stop acting brand new. Like they just came up with the motherfucking idea of private prison systems. No. Before they came up with private prison systems, they were using convicts from the public prison system to do work, and they worked them to death in many cases. We're still finding graves, unmarked graves, all over the motherfucking South of convicts that were working for private corporations. This was in the 1800s and the early 1900s. This wasn't new. Yes, Chaos, I know you sub, brother. Good to see you. Shout out to Code Ref, by the way. And yes, you are very, very welcome, Moses. It's a distraction. It does not mean that it isn't something that we don't need to address. But the larger problem of mass incarceration has nothing to do with privatized prisons. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. We need to not only address the fact that we are being imprisoned disproportionate to our population, right? We also need to address the conditions within the confines of prison. And on top of that, we also need to address the issues with what happens to our brothers and sisters when they exit prison. Why is it that we can lock these people up for 10, 15, 20 years and have no means by which they can come out and actually transition into being just regular, average, everyday citizens? Why do we still have the concept of eliminating their civil rights even after they've served their sentence? Yes, you may have been convicted as a felon. So you go and you do the sentence of a felon. But once you have done your sentence, your rights as an American citizen and a human being needs to be restored. Not through a process of expungement, not 5, 10, 15 years later, immediately. When you walk out that gate, you should be able to vote, own a firearm, live where the fuck you want to live, get student loans, so on and so forth. There's a whole host of issues that we need to address before private prison shit. It's that, see, again, you got to go in there, clear out those motherfucking cobwebs. Otherwise, you got all this erroneous ass information in there that triggers you. Somebody starts talking about the privatized prison complex and so on and so forth. Like, what? Last time I went to jail, it was owned by the state. Every jail I've been to was owned by the state. I ain't never been to no motherfucking private owned jail or prison. And thank you, Gorilla. Why don't we talk about that? Why is it everybody act like that black folks is the ones that's locked up? Sure, we're being locked up disproportionately, meaning that All things being equal, you have a white man, black man go down for the same motherfucking crime. They tend to lock us up for longer sentences and so on and so forth. And they also come after us more, right? So, in other words, we're more likely to be engaged in the criminal justice system. But all of you are talking about private prisons and addressing and so on and so forth, addressing that, y'all behind the times. Pretty soon they gonna get rid of prison. Why they have to lock your ass up when they can actually make your ass go work and charge you money for a motherfucking ankle bracelet that does just the same goddamn thing? Amra, no, I haven't really talked about Nipsey Hussle. And I'll be honest, the reason why I haven't talked about the brother is not because I don't, like, because I have any ill will toward him or anything like that. To be honest, I just don't know enough about the brother. And the last thing I want to do in this time of mourning for not just his family, but a community at large, our community in South Central LA, and in California, and pretty much across the country in general, is start bandwagon on some shit. I believe that at some point I will address Nipsey Hussle, but it will be after we have paid homage to this man's life, his legacy, and so on and so forth, and let him be able to rest. Okay, and I hope that explains, Amra, why I have not addressed um, Nipsey Hussle. So this is like blueberry juice, right? I got it in a tank atomizer. You know what I'm saying? It's a little setup. This thing is old as fuck, though. I need to get a new one. But you know, brothers is broke these days. Speaking of broke, anybody interested in getting some books on learning about ADOS history and things like that? Click the links in the description field. If you thought what I had to say, family, today was worth it, and you have, the means to do so, again, I recognize my audience. Please don't hesitate to click the links, either the Streamlab link or the Cash App or PayPal, and just throw a few dollars at your brother. It's definitely appreciated. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. You're right, Amra. 33. What a loss. What a loss. You are very welcome, Moses. You are very welcome, my brother. Family, I'm not going to keep you. Thank you again so much for your eyes, your time, your love, your support. We're scratching. We're scratching at the door of 1,000. Right? If you haven't shared this video today, what the fuck are you waiting on? If you haven't joined my Discord, right? Link to the Discord is in the description field of the video. If you haven't joined the Discord, what the fuck are you waiting on? If you haven't subscribed to this channel and you've been here at least once or twice, what are you waiting on? Okay? Family, I love you as always. So I want to leave you with the greeting that I always, or I should say with the well wishes that I always leave you with, which is wish for love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.